Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, January 6th. We are back with episode 6 of Betting the W. We have a lot to get to today. It's good to see you. Welcome back, Kate.
Hello.
Damon, it's good to see you as always, sir. We had a big week this week, but we'll get to that in our college basketball segment. I want to start off with a little pro hoops discussion. I actually want to start in the MNBA, the Men's National Basketball Association, because individual scoring has been on a surge in the NBA lately. In the past few years, definitely, but just this past couple weeks, we've had Donovan Mitchell with 71, Luka's 60-point triple double. 50-point performances are like old news. Like Lauri Markkanen put up 49 last night, and
Yeah.
who cares? Like it didn't even make the lead in Sports Center. So all these buckets from the MNBA are really getting us excited for the W this summer. Of course, women's hoops, we know, is usually more noted for defense. Liz Cambage and Raquina Williams have the only two 50-point games in league history, 53 and 51. No one else has ever cracked 50. But I don't know about you guys, but I think this next generation of hoopers is coming to score. And one of our favorite Twitter accounts, Just Women's Sports, posted a prompt tweet that got us thinking, when is the first 60 ball coming in the W, and who's it coming from, more importantly? I think this is a great question because every level of basketball is moving towards scoring, scoring, scoring. And I think the W is bound to follow at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to open up to you guys. Who do you think is going to have the first 60-point game in WNBA history?
Alrighty. Well, I started by looking at players in the league right now because why can't they do it? So the first person that came up when I'm looking at high usage volume scorers is Brianna Stewart. Her name pops up a lot.
Yeah.
So if she stays in Seattle, I think she's got a decent shot this year. With how that team's going to look completely different.
Right.
Bird gone. Gabby Williams might stay in France. Who knows what's going on? Half their team's gone. She'll be the focus of that offense. I think she's got a good shot. Another person I look at very Luka-like is Sabrina.
Yep.
Very Luka-like in her play style. I think that offense really runs through her too. So she's got a good shot. Another person, this is more of a flyer pick. Kalia Copper, Philly legend.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Candace and the rest of the Sky walk because that whole team is in free agency right now, or will be in like 2 weeks. It depends what happens there, but if Kalia Copper is the only one left, she might have a shot. She's a high efficiency volume scorer. She gets more touches right there with Candace and everyone else gone. I think there's a real shot for her to do it.
I will jump on that in terms of current players. I think easily Sabrina Ionescu is my favorite. I think when it comes to anything individual stats based, like she will be the next person to do it. She already has, is it as many triple doubles as every other player in the history of the league?
Yeah.
Something like I should have written it down, but she's a triple double machine. She's a scoring machine. I think if she focuses less on the assists for a night and goes to taking the shots herself, I think she could put up 60 easy. And you mentioned it's tough with the 10-point quarters. It's really hard to put up 60 points in 40 minutes. So hopefully, I think with all the new rule changes they're adding, I hope that they will move to 12 or eventually 15-minute quarters. But as it stands right now, I think if you need that much scoring in that short of a time, I'm betting on Sabrina Ionescu. And I think that she'll have the highest single game output this season, whatever that is. If that's 50, if that's 55, we'll see this season. I think A'ja Wilson is another easy answer. The two-time MVP. I think they like to just feed her down low, and there's really no center that can go up against her, I feel. Maybe Brianna Stewart, but she's more of like a stretch five. I think A'ja Wilson is the best like pure center in the league. So if they really wanted to, like they're a good shooting team, so they don't need to feed her every single possession. But if they wanted to, they could get it down to her every single possession and get a lot of buckets out of her.
Yeah, I
60 is
saw. Oh, I'm sorry.
like
I saw Asia Wilson when I was looking, but I think it's going to be hard for her, especially with like Chelsea, Chelsea Gray and Kelsey Plum already locked up with her.
right,
So that core is pretty locked up. So I feel like, yeah, they really have to focus on her.
right, which is a good thing. Like you don't want to need 60 points from your
Yeah.
star. Like the fact that Luca is scoring 50 points a game this month is not it's not a good thing for Dallas. Like definitely you want to have more balanced scoring. What do you think about or Kate, did you want to add? Do you have any?
I had I had both Sabrina and Aja
Oh,
and actually Brianna. So we all seem to do the
oh,
same research, but I think any of them could easily do it. I was looking at Sabrina's stats and she had, I think I counted right, 5 games with over 30 points in the 22 season, which is incredibly impressive and the highest I saw or the most amount I saw
mhm.
for games. And I think she has a really good chance for it.
Yeah,
She's my
I
top
think
pick.
she's
Hmm.
probably the best, in my opinion, probably the best pure scorer right now. As
Yeah.
long as she can stay healthy and play a full season, which I really hope to see this year.
Yeah, that offense in New York is like the Harden Rockets offense, where they just give it to her
Yeah.
and let her do something. Let Sabrina cook.
Right. It's a Steph Dolson rebound, beat Sabrina. Steph Dolson, sit Sabrina
Yeah.
every single time. What about do you have any college players that you have in mind that might, because it might take a little while for us to
Yeah.
get to a longer game. Some college players might be there by that time.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about this level of scoring, you're really talking about the college players coming in.
Hmm.
Obviously, Caitlin Clark,
Definitely.
big
Definitely.
name here in this conversation. Can't
Yes.
believe it took us. I mean, she's the first one off the board here, but she's the one. If you're looking for this level of scoring, she's the one that immediately pops in your head. Um, I like AZ Fudd if she can get on a team that's her. Like we saw her with the UConn team where she's leading it.
Yeah.
Um, but that UConn team still has such a level of talent and she's still putting up like 20, 25. So I think she is a good shot. She's a very efficient volume scorer in college. I think there's a good shot there. Um,
Definitely. I think if AZ can get on a team where she's, stands out as the star because she's surrounded by so much talent, I think they just spread out the ball because there are so many scorers.
yeah,
If she's on a team where she's like the number one, if she ends up being the number one pick in a couple years or a top pick, I think she could be carrying.
yeah, she'll benefit from being in the lottery. Most
Definitely.
most most players you want to see them go to a good team.
Definitely.
Not saying that I don't, but another one that I'm really loving in her game lately is Angel Reese.
Yes.
If she could stretch the floor even a little bit, she's such a force. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see anyone stopping her.
Right. I think a big thing with all these players is like, can they balance out their game a little bit more and like
Yep.
shoot threes and get points in the paint? Because that's the high scoring in the NBA that we're seeing is so many guys who have either started out as bigs and developed a three or started out as shooters and learned to drive to the hoop a little bit more. I think
Mhm.
in women's basketball, sometimes they separate a little bit so that the shooters stay shooters and the bigs stay bigs. But
Yeah.
like I said, this new generation of hoopers coming up, they transcend position. So we could definitely see big shooting threes, three ball shooters driving to the rim. I think that's going to be good for scoring. And
Mhm.
hopefully, I think I'm hoping for a 40-point game this year. And then
Yeah.
maybe we'll get lucky and get a 50, and then we'll build up towards that 60 ball. But eventually, someone's going to get there. And I'm excited to see that when it happens. Scoring is exciting,
Yeah.
especially when you're betting overs. So we teased all those college players that we like to watch. Let's get into college basketball because what a week it has been. You and I, my friend, it's you definitely had a better week than I, but I have some celebration to do as well. But I'm
Yeah.
gonna let you start off, do your victory lap, talk about all the great predictions you had this week.
Oh man. I don't even know where to start. I had a week. Um, how about that Creighton pack?
Woo!
Still hitting
It's hitting
after like three
after all
weeks.
this time.
Oh my God. Been 3 weeks. Put them on Pack Watch. They were ranked 16. They're going to be unranked when the next poll comes out.
No
Got a
question.
feel for them. Um, I mean, we've been saying it the whole time. It's nothing special. That
Right.
team. They have a decent offense, but really got like a revolving door on defense. Doesn't make up for it. Uh,
Right.
let's go next. I was scrolling through lines last night before the early slate.
Yeah.
I saw one that piqued my interest. Miami was plus 3.5 versus UNC. Are we looking at the same
Shocking.
teams here?
Right.
That Miami team almost took out Notre Dame.
Yep.
UNC's lost 3 straight. I immediately went on Twitter, follow us at bettingthew. Hit y'all with the lock of Miami plus 3.5. And what do you know? They pulled out the win.
They won outright. I
Yeah.
think you hit it on the nose last night. These are two teams that were heading in completely different directions. Could have seen this upset coming from a mile away. I don't
Oh
think
my God.
anybody here was surprised by that win.
No, I was shocked when I saw that line going into Miami. They're playing in Miami.
Right. That's a
Oh my
tough place
God.
to play and for a team that's really struggling.
Yeah, there was no reason for that for UNC to be 3-point favorites there. And then I hit on my walk-off pick last week, Illinois over Iowa. I'll let you touch more on that later, but ooh, do I feel vindicated there? Genesis Bryant, thank you so much. 24 points, 8 for 10 shooting. Um, that Illinois lineup has scoring from every spot. If you scroll through just like their game logs, it's like 5 double-digit scores, 5 double-digit scores, 5 double-digit scores. I think they're legit there. And honestly, I think that's a Cinderella waiting to happen when rotations get shortened in big time games. They got a good squad. So I'll let you fret over your Hawkeyes.
Well, I'll first give praise to Illinois because we keep talking about how great the Big Ten is
Mm-hmm.
and how all the teams at the top are so good. And then teams that are completely unranked, completely off our radar come in and surprise us with an upset. It happened with Michigan State
Yeah.
over Maryland. I can't even remember what game I'm thinking of. Michigan
No, they're
State had a
about to
big
play.
win. What was it?
Michigan State, Maryland about to play.
What game am I thinking of? Indiana. Michigan State beat
Mm.
Indiana. Sorry, my fault. Had no idea that Michigan State could play. They come in and take care of business against Indiana. And then last week, Illinois, I had no thoughts about this game at all. I was going to take care of business. I was going to score 1,000,000 points. Illinois is good. I don't think I would. They're definitely not as good as I thought they were, but they're not bad. Illinois is a really good
Oh
team,
yeah.
really well balanced, like you say. Big Ten is so deep. You like nobody is safe.
No.
We'll talk about Ohio State, but you never know who's going to be in trouble from night to night.
Yeah.
Iowa, really frustrating season. They have two players. They're another tweet from Just Women's Sports. They're one of four teams with two players on the like player of the year watch list, the Naismith list. The other teams are South Carolina, UConn, and Stanford. So three
Full
top
list.
six teams, and then Iowa, who lost to Illinois this week. Big difference there.
Yeah, that's rarefied air.
They have the scoring, they have the skill on offense. They cannot stop the ball to save their lives. And it's super concerning. When they play bad opponents, they can outscore them just fine. They scored 102 against Wisconsin last month. But 90 points to Illinois, it just can't happen. Even though it's a talented team, if you're going to make a playoff run, you can't be letting Illinois score 90 points. So I'm super concerned.
Yeah.
Championship future, I'm not even thinking about. I'm just thinking, are they going to win a couple games in the tourney and at least give me some hope? Very concerning from the Hawkeyes. Hoping for a better week this week. I do have faith that they will bounce back.
Yeah, I just pulled up the her hoop stat page. I just got a subscription, so might be more numbers talk than usual.
We know what we're talking about now. We know ball now.
Their their defensive rating is bottom 2% in women's college basketball. So we talked about Creighton being a revolving door. They got traffic cones
They're an
out of
open door. Have no interest in stopping points at all. It is not working either.
Oh
So
my God.
I don't know. I don't know what needs to change in Iowa City, but they need to play some defense. And to add on to my rough start to the week, Louisville's looking worse than ever. Lost to Duke this week. Duke is a really good team. We'll get to them, but that was another preseason championship pick. That is like, are they going to make the tournament? Like
Yeah.
champions of the NIT, maybe they might win a consolation prize, but Cardinals look bad. They're not scoring very many points. That was,
That's the issue.
Iowa and Louisville were both high scoring teams. Louisville is not scoring enough, nearly enough in ACC play.
Yeah. I mean, we'll yeah, I think we should jump to some Louisville talk right now, actually, instead of saving it for later.
Go for it.
Yeah, that's the thing is we thought they were gonna be like a top 5, top 10 offense in the league, but they just can't score enough. Everyone knew their defense wasn't gonna be great, but it's this offensive, just stagnant offense that I'm concerned about.
It looks nothing like the team that went to the Final Four last year.
Yeah,
Just
and
it doesn't make any
Haley Van
sense.
Lith is having like career numbers, scoring numbers, and everything, but her shooting, 3-point shooting is down on higher volume. So I think that's one direction you can look in, but I don't know. It kind of baffles me how they just can't score enough.
It's super confusing. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's definitely not what I expected coming into preseason.
Yeah.
They don't look good. And we'll talk about it again. We'll get to it, but the ACC is so good.
Yeah. So
Well,
I was looking at Louisville. When they score over 40, not 40, 70 points, they're 11-1. But they've been struggling to hit that number.
right.
So it's like, I don't know. I don't see how. I don't see why or what's going on in Louisville.
What
Tell
is
me,
going
like,
on with
give me
them?
the windy meme. What is going on in Louisville?
They suck. Let's get to the good of this week for me. Here's what picked me up near the end of the week. So St. John's was quietly undefeated coming into this week. I didn't know they were undefeated. They were ranked 24 in the country. They go into South Orange and Seton Hall wiped the floor with them. It put such a big smile on my face. A 20-point victory for my Pirates.
Hey.
Oh, I was thrilled by that upset. That is so exciting. I think St. John's was not as good as their record, which is why they were number 24, but a ranked
Yeah.
win is a ranked win. And I don't think they'll be ranked by the time they play, but Seton Hall also has Creighton coming up. So maybe another top 25 win over a fraudulent in
Yeah.
conference opponent.
Let's see a little run from the Pirates.
Seriously, come on. Why not? I think we need to find a second best team in the Big East. Why not
Why
my
not?
Pirates? Everybody else seems to suck when they put them in the rankings. So why not my
Yeah.
Pirates to make a little run?
I mean, something's fishy when the other undefeated teams are all top 10 and then you're 24. Hit them with it again.
What's going on in New York? Let's talk about that one. The other undefeated teams.
Yeah.
So we've got South Carolina at 1. We got OSU at 3. We've got LSU should be moving up. They just became top 10. People were waiting to see with them, but they look great in SEC play. And I think I have a serious blind spot because I'm not even doing this intentionally. I know we really hated on Utah earlier this season. I didn't know they were undefeated. I looked at the rankings and I just didn't see them. And I posted a meme this week about the undefeated teams that didn't include them. I have some sort of mental deficiency where I can't give Utah credit for anything. But Utah is undefeated in the Pac-12. I even put later in this outline, I put that Oregon and Arizona is going to be the battle for the third best team in the Pac-12. Completely forgetting that Utah was there. So let's talk undefeateds. South Carolina, Ohio State, LSU, Utah. Who is the next undefeated squad to fall?
You know, I think there's one team that will go undefeated, and I'll talk about them later. But at this level, it comes down to scheduling, I think.
Yep.
So it's who has the earliest tough matchup. And I hate to say it because we deserve to give Utah so much love right now,
We
especially
do.
after this outline. But their next big game is earlier than everyone else. They play Stanford on January 20th. I think Stanford's a better team.
Can they prove us wrong again? Will we be wrong again?
Oh man, I would love to see it.
There's no way, right? There's no way they're better than Stanford.
That should be a battle, but
That's gonna be a really exciting game. I'm
who
really
saw that
interested
one
to see what
coming?
happens there.
Yeah, the other teams like South Carolina, you're looking at UConn and then LSU in February, and OSU's got a few big games coming up. But those are they're all after that January 20th, which is the one game I'm really looking at for these undefeated teams.
Yeah, I think February will be big for most of these teams, but Utah gets hit with it soonest for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I don't know that I see a loss for Ohio State.
Really?
We've talked about how this Big Ten can surprise teams, come out of nowhere, and like you can lose to an unranked opponent. But they've got conference games from here out. They just took care of business against Michigan, who is maybe, one of the next best teams. They play Indiana, but I don't believe in Indiana like that. I think that the talent disparity is just it's huge. I think of all these teams, because South Carolina and LSU play each other, I think they are each other's biggest test. Obviously, South Carolina has UConn too, which will be a tough game for them. I do think LSU will lose because it's in Columbia, but it'll be an interesting matchup to see. So I think South Carolina, probably has the best chance to get to the end undefeated, but OSU, I don't see. I know you're Illinois, excuse
I
me.
was gonna say no love for Illinois. That Big Ten is scary after they just took down your Hawkeyes. Come on,
I
no,
think Ohio
it's a
State
bit.
is a
It's a bit.
very different team from Iowa.
It's
Very
a
different team.
bit.
I
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'm looking at this. They have Indiana twice, Maryland twice, and they have Iowa. I think OSU is better than all those teams.
agree.
I think Maryland is a challenge.
Maryland's probably the game that at Maryland probably makes me the most nervous.
Yeah. And the thing about Maryland is like they're winning games they're not supposed to win. And it's just because they have great vibes. Come on.
It is excellent vibes in College Park. Incredible vibes.
But Indiana's not scary.
No.
Well, right now at least. Who knows if they could turn around, but
Of the top 10 teams, Indiana
yeah,
probably scares me the least.
yeah. Well, Indiana and Virginia Tech.
Right. Right.
But we could get there. We'll get there when we get there.
All right. So let's get into the rest of the slate from the week. My biggest takeaway from this week is that the ACC is so confusing and I have no idea what to think about them. I think we can say with some confidence that Notre Dame is the best team, probably, as far as we know. Notre Dame looks like the best team. They probably have the best player in the conference. But every other team has been so up and down. I don't know what to make of it. We talked about Louisville looks real bad this season. Duke had an amazing week. Wins over Louisville and Wake Forest, and they looked really good. They only have one loss, and it's to the mighty UConn team.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about them? They've had a great week.
Talk about them. I have them as the second best team in the ACC right now.
I agree.
Yeah, they got dogs, man. Celeste Taylor, dog. Kenny Brown, dog. Jordan Oliver, dog. Just dogs on dogs. Like, every single tweet you see about them is about their defensive identity and their defense focused mindset.
Yep.
And it works. I mean, they have a top two, I want to say, defense in women's college basketball right now. They're top 20 seemingly out of nowhere, but
they allowed 50 to Wake last night. 50. 56 to Louisville. Was that amazing offense that we were expecting before the season. They're on an incredible run. The defense is taking care of business. The most points they've allowed all season was 58 to NC State.
Yeah, and we started off the pod talking about what player do we think will score 60. If we're talking about Duke, we're talking about what team do we think will score 60.
Exactly. Entire teams in a 40-minute game aren't even getting to 60 points against them. Defense might win championships. Why not? With all these offenses that are night and day with their game-to-game performance.
Yeah. Like Celeste Taylor in one of those big wins, she dropped 20 plus. Like, they have the offensive output to make that defense worth it.
One of my favorite nicknames in all of sports, which I always forget about and then I'm reminded of, Davion Mitchell, the off night.
Off night.
Because if he's guarding you, you're going to have an off night. If you're playing Duke, you're going to have an off night. Yeah. I don't care how good your offense is. I don't care if you're NC State. I don't care if you're Louisville. I don't care if you're UNC. You're going to have an off night with the Blue Devils on the other side of the court. That is such a tough defense and an offense that can take care of business.
Yeah, they're legit.
Top 2 team in the league. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
So on the other side of North Carolina, on the other side of Tobacco Road, you've got the Tar Heels, who are sliding in a bad way. Coming into ACC play, they had only lost to Big Ten teams. It was kind of a weird pattern. It was like, okay, maybe they're just bad against that conference, but now 4 straight losses. They probably won't be ranked next week. Lost to Miami last night. We talked about that. UNC looks rough.
Yeah. Imagine I told you start of the year, Duke is the best team in North Carolina.
I would laugh in your face.
What? You're UNC. You're hitting the panic button.
Big time.
4-game stretch. They haven't been able to score or defend. And those are the 2 main points of basketball. Like, they have not looked like the same team.
Do you know who they have this Sunday?
Who do they got?
Notre Dame.
Oh,
I don't think this slide is ending. At least not this weekend for the Tar Heels.
They will definitely 5-game stretch would be real rough.
That is a tough look. They played a tough schedule, but man, they're not living up to the expectation they set in out of conference play. And the ACC is not any more forgiving than that. I do hope they pick it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Honestly, by the end of the month or by the middle of the month, because they play Duke, and we always talk about Duke UNC as a huge matchup in men's basketball. I'd be really interested to see what that rivalry is like when both women's teams are really good.
Let's see that.
Same goes for NC State. They play in the same week, NC State and then Duke.
Wow.
It could be a really bad week. If they pull it together, it could be an exciting week with maybe an upset over a rival. We'll see.
North Carolina hate week, baby.
That's right. That's right. Listen, UNC, we want to see you be competitive. So get it together. Where's that team we saw at the beginning of the season?
I mean, we've been pretty good about no reverse cursing yet, but we'll probably go into this and UNC will just wipe the floor with Notre Dame.
Exactly. Because the ACC is so unpredictable.
Yeah.
Let's stay with that trend. Let's stay in North Carolina. NC State lost to Boston College last night. I think go Boston.
Hey,
we love Boston. We go to school there. Go BC. But I don't think any of us would have had the gall to predict this upset. A big win by Boston College. Dontavia Sorry, I don't want to pronounce her name right. Dontavia Wagner had 23 and 10 against NC State. Looked so good. BC's another team that nobody really predicted much out of them. They're kind of in the middle right now,
Yeah.
but they went up against the team that looked like the second best team in the conference. Took care of business.
Yeah. BC's they're kind of in the mix, I'm not gonna lie.
Every
But
team is.
when you're looking at the ACC, it's really Notre Dame and then everyone else because BC just got pretty much 40-piece by Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's
So
like
if you're NC
it's a
State,
mic drop.
this is a tough look after Notre Dame handled business. You go in there. The Duke game you could excuse because their best player was out, Diamond Johnson. But now with Diamond Johnson ran 30 minutes last night against BC,
Really.
and NC State still lost. So
It's a perplexing one, but I think the answer is just that the ACC. Well, let me pose a question. Do we think that the ACC is really deep, or do we think that the top outside of Notre Dame is just really soft?
it's an interesting question. I think these other conferences, they got like juggernauts. Like the SEC got South Carolina and LSU, who
Yeah.
they'll take care of business any night.
Right.
Pac-12, they got Utah and Stanford. I'll throw UCLA in there on a good day because I'm biased there. And then like the Big East got UConn. And you could say the same for Big Ten, maybe with OSU.
Yeah.
But like those teams are just buzzsaws. The ACC doesn't really have any of those.
Yeah. I would agree. I lean to the side of like they're just really deep, and any given team could have a really good game. But
Yeah.
I don't think that fares well for them come the postseason. I think it's good to have parity in your league, but if you don't, like you said, if you don't have that one or two team that really stands out, and that could be Notre Dame, like we'll see
Yeah.
if they are what we think they are. But if you don't have the one or two teams that's going to make a lot of noise on a national stage, everyone's going to kind of forget about your conference come March.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And
So,
I mean, we'll see what Diamond Johnson, Philly legend, we'll be able
of
to do to
course,
turn this around. Because it was our first game back. But
yeah. And again, NC State, I don't think they're bad necessarily. I think they just not top 10 in
they're
the
not the
country.
one seed we thought they could be.
Exactly. So let's talk about a conference that is kind of cannibalizing itself, but for a different reason. I think that the Big East is just really not really weak, but they don't have great teams outside of UConn. I
Mm-hmm.
think the bottom of the ACC is a lot better than the bottom of the Big East, whereas
Yeah,
the
I
top of
agree.
the Big East is probably stronger than the top of the ACC.
I
We
agree.
had St. John's, previously undefeated, loses to Seton Hall by a lot. Creighton has now lost
4 out of 5, I
four
think.
out of five.
Once we pack watch them,
Exactly. They were
BTW
cursed.
curse.
Now neither team is going to be ranked next week. They'll be down to just UConn in the ranking.
Oh,
A
that's
tough look
rough.
for the Big East, that like this basketball specific conference. I don't I don't think that UConn is going to lose a Big East game. If
Yeah,
they lose, it'll be to South Carolina, but I don't think they lose in the Big East.
yeah, I agree. I agree. That UConn team is so good, man, when they're all healthy. And
Crazy.
we hope Aaliyah Edwards is good. It sounds like she's good. Um, and they already handled so many injuries. So it's like, even if someone goes down, they know what to do.
It's crazy to see how well they can deal with injuries.
Yeah.
Like nothing phases them
I
because
mean,
they're
a
like their
couple,
bench is so strong.
yeah. I mean, that team's ridiculous. There's a couple conference matchups that I'm keeping my eye on is Sunday they played DePaul
Mm,
and Anissa Moro is just killing the game right now.
yes.
So that'll be a real interesting game, especially if Aaliyah Edwards can't go. It'll
Yeah,
be
that'll
real
be
interesting
big.
to see how they handle this one. And another team that I think is sneaky is Villanova.
Philly Legends?
Well, one of them for sure. Maddie Seacrest leads the league in scoring. Philly, Philly adjacent legends. We'll wait till March, then they become a Philly school.
That's right. Nova's a Philly team in March. That's
Philly
right.
team in March. Um, well, I mean, if you want to start talking about Philly teams, they got the two top leading scorers, and what's her name from Drexel? That's bad. That's a
Washington.
tough look. Washington,
I'm forgetting her first name.
yeah,
Washington. But yeah, from Drexel.
Washington
Yeah.
and Seagrass, Nova and Drexel. I mean, hey, Philly just built different. Come on.
Maybe if we want some high scoring in the W, we put a team in Philly because
Bro,
that
come on.
seems to be where all the scorers are.
All right, imagine. So it'll be rebuilding team, expansion team.
Yep.
Get that top pick. They get Caitlin Clark. Boom.
No
That's a
help.
60 piece waiting to
Score
happen.
60. The first game of her career, 60 bucket. That should be hard. I love it. So
All
yeah,
right,
the
but
Big East. Sorry, did you have more on the Big East?
I was gonna say back to the Big East. I'm looking for that Sunday DePaul test as the UConn's only real challenge in
Yeah.
the conference.
Big East is a major conference, but it kind of feels this year like it's not kind of a mid-major. I don't know. Like
Yeah,
we'll see. Like I said, we'll see. But right now, it just looks like there's no one to play with UConn.
yeah. When I was looking up, when I saw Maddie Seagrass, I wanted to go say we'll give some more love to the mid-major schools, but I'm like Nova is
That's a
it,
major
yeah,
major conference.
yeah. I don't know, man.
We'll see. We'll see. So we'll move on from the Big East. Some other teams, top teams rolled this week. Number one, Carolina, dominating in the SEC. They won by 52 against Auburn last night. Just unreal. Like, there's not much more that can be said about South Carolina. They haven't
No.
lost a game in over a year, and they score. They don't allow points. It's tough to see. It's tough to predict that anyone would be able to play with them.
Yeah, the only gripe you have with South Carolina is they have had a kind of easy schedule, but it's not their fault. The SEC is so top heavy.
Yeah.
Um, my takeaways there is Zaya Cook is a lot better than I thought she was.
Yes,
Um,
definitely.
she had 31 of in that Georgia game. She had
Yep.
31 of their 64 points.
That's crazy.
That's kind of ridiculous.
Damn.
And if we're looking at that game, South Carolina took 17 threes, so I'm always talking about how I want them to stretch the floor more. And they're showing a willingness, but 12 of those threes came from Cook,
Yeah.
who is shooting a lot more efficiently than I thought she was gonna. So
Yeah, it's crazy. I thought she was more like a passer, shoot from
yeah,
time to time, but she's stepping up as a real
yeah,
scoring threat. And
yeah.
that's scary. If they have scoring threats at every position, what are we gonna do about what's
No,
anybody
exactly.
gonna do about it?
Like last night in the Auburn game, Cordoso just put up like 18. It's ridiculous in South
Right.
Carolina. They're made different. Um, we talked about this earlier in a couple episodes back, but here's the situation I'm looking at is South Carolina shooting. If you take Zaya Cook, you take all her shots, her threes out of the equation, they've taken 18 more threes than Caitlin Clark.
In the
18
season?
in the whole season.
Really?
Yeah. um, that is the race I'm watching. Some people might be watching like the undefeated race, like who's gonna come out of the SEC. I'm watching will the Cox minus Zaya Cook take less threes than Caitlin Clark.
I think that would be hilarious.
It'd be so funny.
It would be so funny.
Imagine you go on to win the Natty, and there's a one player that took more threes than all your team minus your one deep threat.
Right. One player taking like 80% of your 3-pointers.
Like that's
crazy.
so funny.
Well, it's such an odd way that they're constructed, but it works so well.
Yeah.
I think Dawn knows exactly what she's doing, and it looks weird to the rest of us, but it works clearly. One
Yeah.
thing
I mean,
that I'll say about LSU, or sorry, South Carolina, is that I wish that LSU game was going to be in Baton Rouge. Or I wish
Yeah.
they could go home and home. Because I think if the game's in Baton Rouge, LSU might win, would at least play it really close. I'm not giving them no chance in Columbia, but that's like the best team in the country and one of the hardest places to play in the country. It's a tough combo for LSU, who's looking to stay undefeated. I think that's the biggest threat to LSU. Let's talk about LSU. So
I was
they're
gonna say.
undefeated. They had that really, really soft out of conference schedule, and people were really skeptical of them. But they're looking maybe even better against their SEC opponents. Last night, a 40-point dub over Texas A&M, and Angel Reese had one of the craziest stat lines I've ever seen. You've got all the advanced stats, so let's hear about Angel Reese.
Angel Reese, 26 and 28 game. First of all, that's not normal.
No.
She's the first 25 game since 2019.
Who
And
did
she put it
you know
up
who
on
did it?
60% shooting. That's not okay.
60% is nuts.
And notably, she's not shooting 25% from three.
What do you know? What do you know? If it works, try it. Let's have her take more
Yeah,
logo threes
yeah, just
after that buzzer beater.
let her pull. I tweeted out just because she doesn't shoot doesn't mean she can't. Come on.
Sleeping Dragon.
Um, you wanted some advanced stats. So if we normalize it and put her per 40 minutes, she's averaging 30 and 20.
Ugh.
That's not okay.
What?
Genuinely concerning for the rest of the league.
That's insane.
Um, and I teased it earlier. I think LSU will go undefeated. I'm not gonna lie. I think
Okay. I like a bold
they're
take.
only
I love a
so
bold take.
looking at scheduling, their only test is South Carolina,
Yeah.
realistically. And they catch South Carolina a week after UConn. So they're going UConn, Auburn, LSU. UConn will give them a run for their money.
Yes.
Auburn, I think this is going to be hilarious for me to say after they just got 50 piece. I think that's a sneaky trap game here. If you put them in between UConn and LSU, I think you might look over them.
Okay.
I think it's got sneaky trap game capabilities.
Interesting.
That LSU team is for real. Everyone talks about their offense. They have a top 5 defense also. They have the best net rating in women's college basketball, but it's definitely inflated. So I don't know how much weight you could give to these because they're inflated because of their easy opponents.
Right.
But they've dominated. Angel Reese is ridiculous. I like
34
them
points.
as my pick to go undefeated.
I don't hate that either. I think my biggest concern is that they have to go to Columbia, but like
Yeah.
you said, like that's a big week for Carolina. Like, can they step up? 34 points. Like, I don't care who it is. It's an SEC opponent. Texas A&M is in the SEC. Like, they have as much money as anybody else. They've won a championship decades ago, but they're a program. They're a real program with
As they play
real
basketball, I swear.
right. They play basketball and they scored 34 points in 40 minutes against LSU. That's unbelievable. LSU is so legit.
Oh, that's
And I
bullying.
like it just goes to show you like you can't really make anything of out of conference schedule. Like
No.
who cares?
When
They
you
had a
can pick who
soft
you're playing, it's a little
eh, eh.
yeah.
LSU could go undefeated. To bounce back to South Carolina for a second, I think it's actually better to have a loss if you're South Carolina. I think this team doesn't remember what it's like to lose. I think the last time they lost, they went undefeated last season.
No, I think they had one loss.
They had
Yeah,
one
I'll
loss.
pull it up.
So like it's been so long since they lost. It's
Yeah,
really hard to
last
go
year.
wire to wire. It's hard to go undefeated. No one's done it in a really long time. I think you lose, you bounce back, and then you are better prepared for March.
Mhm.
So if you're a South Carolina fan, you don't want to lose, but you're okay with a loss because it teaches a lesson that they haven't had to learn yet.
Yeah. It looks like 2 losses last year, actually.
Oh,
March 6th versus Kentucky 64,
Oh,
62, and then December 30th, which is so far in the past that you don't even think about it. Lost to Missouri 70-69. So both of those real close games.
interesting. I completely forgot about those.
But this team just wins.
Right. That's what they do. It's a pedigree.
That's why it's so hard to go undefeated. That's why I'm liking LSU to go undefeated, just because their schedule is easier.
Right. They do come from like I think an easier side of the SEC where they only have to play Carolina once and they get a couple of the Bamas and the A&Ms twice.
Yeah.
It's a more favorable schedule for sure. So other top teams kept it rolling this week. Ohio State looking good. We talked about them a little bit. Number 14 Michigan took care of business, beat Minnesota. Like I said, like I don't see a big challenge for them, but Maryland could make something. Indiana could look like their old selves. Iowa, like
Yeah, who knows in Big
do
Ten?
something. And it could be a team that we don't expect because that's what the Big Ten has been this year. So all I'll say about Ohio State is right now, I feel good about them. A week from
Yeah.
now, check in.
Yeah, I don't have many takeaways. I just my notes really just say, I mean, I guess they're pretty good or something.
Not a bad pick from Max. But it's
Max, like
okay. I
I said,
balanced it out with
everything
the
that
one.
comes out of
I
Max is
also took Miami.
yeah.
So they were my championship
That's a
draft.
solid pick now. They turned it around
So
real quick.
makes up for Iowa and Louisville.
Yeah.
I don't remember what my fifth team was. I'll have to look it up. Number
I
two,
feel
Stanford.
oh,
Stanford,
Stanford's interesting.
I keep thinking like I keep wondering like is Stanford like are they ever gonna not look like the number two team? But they're holding strong to it. 101 on Arizona State this week. And they beat Arizona 73-57.
Yeah. I had my eyes on that Arizona game. I thought, at least through the first quarter, I thought there was a real shot. We saw Stanford go down, but
They're a
no.
good late game team. Like they close out games well. They don't make a lot of mistakes down the stretch. They're well coached. Like,
I mean, who would have guessed that one going in?
right. Stanford's gonna be well coached for the 30th year in a row. That's a great take by everybody.
Talking about not making many mistakes. I feel like Cam Brink's turning around. We were talking about her foul troubles
Yeah.
earlier. She had one foul across both those games. Uh, as long as she could stay on the floor, this team is real scary. They already got Haley Jones out there, who
It was
top.
Cam Brink's birthday the other day, so she's older and more mature now. She's ready to
Oh,
make fewer fouls. Watch out.
I'll see if I knew that.
22-year-old Cam is a different breed. Yeah, they're a great duo and they're surrounded by talent. Like
Yeah,
we talked about the Pac-12, like there's Utah, there's UCLA, there's some other teams that I think might still make a bit of a run. But Stanford looks to be the easy number one out of the pack. And I don't know that they'll
you
lose.
just hate Utah, don't you?
It is in my contract that I have to hate on Utah. Do they play in Stanford, in Palo Alto, January 20th.
Yeah, that's the one you're looking out for.
Ooh, the last game of the regular season, Stanford in Salt Lake, February 25th.
Ooh,
Circle that one as a potential Stanford loss. If they lose, I think it will come at Utah.
yeah, I totally agree. A little one-on-one series split. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be interesting. And yeah, I mean, Utah's been proving me wrong all season long.
Yeah.
I'm not hating on them on purpose. I swear. I don't have anything against their success. Go win the Pac-12 and prove me wrong, but I think that Stanford's really strong still. I think they
Yeah.
deserve that number two spot. And
Yeah, well, obviously I think Stanford, South Carolina, a tier above every other team.
yeah,
So in that Pac-12, I like Stanford, Utah, UCLA, everyone else.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
We got this week, we got some interesting games. We're in the thick of conference schedules now, so it's mostly conference matchups from here on out. We got some, kind of unassuming matchups between unranked and ranked. We've got some good ranked matchups as well. Oregon at Arizona. This interests me. I think these teams are both good. I don't think that they are great or very good. I think that they're good. I think, like you said, thank you for correcting me. This is a fourth place team conference game, and they're competing for the fourth best team in the pack. So we know who the top three are. This is going to be a team who, the other semifinal team, maybe a team that gets into the tournament as an at-large. I'm just curious to see which of these teams is actually the better team because I think they're pretty equal.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I'm not very moved by either of these teams. I think they're in the same tier. I think this should be a good game. No doubt, close one. I'll be looking out for Van Sloon's line.
Yes.
Otherwise, I mean, all I can add to this conversation is it should be a good game.
Yeah. Grace is a beast of a first year player. I think she's awesome. So
Grace,
I'll have my eyes on that. I'm interested to see who comes out on top. But like we said, doesn't super influence the hierarchy of the Pac-12.
Yeah.
It's the difference between 4 and 5 here. We've also got on Sunday, number 9 Virginia Tech versus unranked Miami, but they're in Miami, and we know just how good Miami can play, especially at home. So I think the reason that they're unranked is that they have a lot of really dumb losses earlier in the season. Like I was looking through their schedule, and they just had some baffling losses. But I think they're starting to put it together now. And for some reason, I still can't buy into this Virginia Tech team. Like they're number 10 team in the country. I have every reason to believe in them, but I'm not buying it yet. So time will tell if we get another big Miami matchup in the 305.
Yeah. I just pulled up Miami's losses. The one that really jumps out is Columbia.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
I mean, Columbia did get some AP votes, I'm not gonna lie. They got a couple. They did. They're challenging Princeton, baby.
The battle for the Ivy is going to be interesting to
Come
see.
on. So stay locked in on the Ivy League.
This is the real thick of playoff basketball is the Ivy League tournament.
Athletic juggernauts over there. But like you said, Miami in Miami. And we are both not very big fans of this Virginia Tech team.
Yeah.
I can't explain it even. They don't feel real.
Right. It feels plastic.
Yeah.
I'm not buying in. I just look at it and it's not a top 10 team.
No. Notably, they're both UNC killers, so
that's true.
Battle that one out.
Right. We'll see. We'll see who's the true Tar Heel killer. One more matchup that interests me this week is 13 Maryland versus 6 Indiana. I think this is a battle of underrated versus overrated. I think Maryland 13 is low. They've had a really good season. Like we said, it's mostly based on vibes, but does the AP poll not respect vibes? Why are they all the way down at 13? Number 6 Indiana, on the other hand, bad vibes. They had a really bad loss to Michigan State, and I think it's going to keep going downhill for the Hoosiers. This will be a big test in Indiana.
Yeah. And it'll be a big test for my theory of vibes being the most important thing in a basketball game.
Yes. I'm interested to see how the vibes play out. Also, Maryland has a loss to South Carolina, one of their losses. And they wins over Notre Dame and UConn. So you got to respect their record a little bit. That's an interesting one in the ACC.
Maryland's real. Diamond Miller is real. They have a real shot here, I think.
Use the diamond tester. It's real. So let's get into our walk-off segment. Our current records as they stand. Myself and Damon are at 3-2, looking
Going on
good.
a run, baby.
Damon's hot. Damon's hit a few in a row. Kate, welcome back. First of all, good to have you back.
Thank you.
You
Thank you.
shouldn't have come.
Damn.
Kate, you're 1-4, but that just means that you're due.
Yeah.
I think you're due for a win this week. I'll start things off. So this week, I love a couple of road dogs, specifically tomorrow. Baylor is very hot. They're coming in to face a really inconsistent, all over the map type of team in Kansas. I like them, but they're not my pick. My pick is my beloved Iowa Hawkeyes on the road over Michigan. Iowa's number 16, Michigan's number 14. Iowa's heading in the wrong direction, but I don't think that it's them. I believe that the real Iowa is in there. I think this is a get-right game for them. They're going to score a lot of points. I hope that they're going to step up their defense, and I think that they will take the dub over Michigan in Ann Arbor. I'm really looking forward to seeing Iowa back. It is a get-right game for them.
I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I'm not gonna lie, Max. I'm sorry.
I know you're an Iowa hater now.
Apparently, I'm an Iowa hater.
What's your pick this week, Damon?
I think Kate should go first.
Let's hear Kate.
We actually referenced this one earlier, and I was trying hard not to say anything because I think it's hilarious, but I actually am taking Notre Dame over UNC because I want to have my record go up.
Does that count? Can we get an official ruling on that?
I picked it last night.
Rough.
The doc was edited last night.
Your other win on this show is Louisville over Oregon in volleyball.
You're picking heavy favorites. This should not count.
Up.
Well, that's the thing. It's because I picked like underrated teams that I want to see have an upset, and it doesn't lead me very well.
I don't think you even do.
I have.
All right.
I'm gonna get slander for my record. I'm gonna let me have a team that wins.
All right.
Although if they lose, that it's completely me.
It's two losses.
Something with me.
Yeah, BTW.
It's two losses if they lose.
Yeah, okay. I'll take that.
If we're saying that's two losses, just wait. Okay. I scroll through the schedule, look for a game that jumps out.
Yeah.
This week there is one for me. Certified Kansas haters over here. I see Kansas losing to Texas, but the game is in Texas, and I think Texas will be the favorites. So I'm not taking it because I'm not like Kate.
Honorable.
I'm taking my bit way too far. I'm going Illinois, going into Columbus, and taking down the Buckeyes.
Unbelievable. No, you're not even an Iowa hater. You're a me hater.
Apparently.
Hate on my teams. Your beloved Fighting Illini.
They haven't done me wrong. I think they're legit. This is a big time game in my eyes. Other people might not see it that way. I'm taking the bit too far, as I'm known to do. Yeah, I'm loving this team.
Hopefully I will be back next week with another victory lap.
I mean, your victory lap will just be around me.
It could go very it could go very badly for me. But those are the picks. Do with them what you will. We'll check back in next week. We'll be back together next week off of Zoom. We'll be back in the studio so we can really lay into Kate for her picks.
This is why I don't show up.
Yeah,
Stay up to date with our socials at bettingthew on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Of course, subscribe to the channel. And we will see you again next week. See ya.